Welcome to Reddit Tea Time. Am I the bonehead for refusing to donate my kidney to my estranged sister, even though I'm the only match, after she kept my biological daughter from me for years? Here's the backstory. I, 29 female, was a reckless teenager. I got pregnant at 17 and was terrified. My parents were conservative, and my sister, Alice, then 27, convinced me to let her and her infertile husband adopt my baby to keep it within the family. She made me promise not to tell anyone the child was biologically mine and to always act as the aunt. However, things spiraled out of control. They moved away when my daughter, Emily, was just 2. I was allowed minimal contact. They changed her last name, and I found out they told Emily that her biological mom had died in a tragic accident. I confronted Alice, and she said it was for the best, and cut contact completely. Fast forward to last year. Emily, now 12, discovered the truth. She reached out to me, angry and confused. I tried explaining, but she's resentful towards both me and Alice. Now, Alice has severe kidney issues and needs a transplant. I'm the only match in the family. She has apologized for everything and begged me to reconsider, stating it's not just for her but so Emily doesn't lose a mother. I'm torn. Alice's friends and our extended family have been bombarding me with messages, some understanding, some extremely hateful. Emily is conflicted and has expressed she doesn't want her mother to die but also feels a deep-seated anger. My husband thinks I should donate to be the bigger person, but my best friend says Alice made her bed and now has to lie in it. Am I the bonehead for considering not donating my kidney after everything that's happened? OP, I'm really sorry to hear about your situation. It's clear that you've been through a lot and have some tough decisions to make. Let's break this down. First, Alice convinced you, as a scared teenager, to give up your baby for adoption to her and her infertile husband. While adoption itself isn't wrong, she pressured you into keeping the biological connection a secret and acting as an aunt rather than a mother. Second, after they adopted your daughter, Alice and her husband moved away and allowed you only minimal contact with Emily. This decision severed the emotional connection between you and your child. Third, Alice and her husband changed Emily's last name, further erasing her biological connection to you and making it difficult for you to maintain any connection. Fourth, they told Emily that her biological mom had died in a tragic accident, which was a significant and hurtful deception. Fifth, when you confronted Alice about these actions, she not only defended her choices but also cut off contact with you entirely, leaving you and Emily without any communication for years. Now she needs a kidney. They say karma's a witch and they're not lying. But here is some truth and reality. Your daughter discovered you're her biological mother and she's angry and confused. But that doesn't mean she doesn't love Alice. It just means she feels betrayed right now. If you don't donate this kidney and something happens to Alice, Emily will never forgive you. She'll blame you for first giving her up, then letting her mother die. Any hope you have of ever having a relationship with her will die with Alice. So as much as it sucks, you're going to need to do it, unless there's a concrete medical reason that prevents you from doing so. People will tell you the decision to donate your kidney is a deeply personal one, and you should prioritize your own well-being and feelings. You don't really have that luxury. In any case, you're not a bonehead for considering not donating your kidney. But consider the long-term implications for both you and Emily. Am I the bonehead for telling my wife I'm not going to sacrifice my hobbies just so that I can babysit? My wife Jane, 34 female, and I, 38 male, have been together for 5 years. She also brought my stepdaughter Emily, 9 female, into our marriage. We have her for 4 days a week, Monday to Thursday, while she's at her dad's Friday to Sunday. From the beginning, Jane told me Emily doesn't need a second father figure as she has her dad to fill that role. I was only supposed to be a trusted authority figure in case she ever needed anything. I didn't mind and tried my best to respect that boundary. She's a sweet child anyway and doesn't cause trouble, so it's not like I have to discipline her. Her father is also a good dad. Emily's dad recently got married and his wife has 2 kids of her own who are at their place Wednesday to Saturday and at their dad's Sunday to Tuesday. Emily and her new step-siblings don't get along at all. They're always fighting and it's pretty toxic. Emily's dad asked Jane if they could change their custody schedule to match his stepkids to keep the children apart. It's not a big deal in and of itself because we don't live far from each other, so picking and dropping is no issue and she can easily be dropped off to school no matter where she stays. The issue is my wife agreed to it without consulting me. Jane is currently doing a certification course for the next 12 months and they have classes on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. She asked me if I can babysit Emily on Saturdays, but I can't because I play golf with my brother and sister on Saturday mornings from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. This has been our tradition from before Jane and Emily came into my life, and I had told Jane from much before that this is important to me and my siblings. She asked if I can move to another day, but that's not possible either because my siblings also have jobs and families of their own, so Saturday was the best day for us. I told her she can hire a babysitter, but she doesn't want to spend money when I can do it for free. I told her that wouldn't work for me. She then got mad and said golf is stupid and I should put my stepdaughter over my siblings. That pissed me off, so I told her I'm not going to sacrifice my hobbies just so that she can have a free babysitter. For the record, I don't have anything against Emily. I've babysat her before and she's a good kid. If there was a family emergency or if it was an occasional occurrence, then yeah, I would cancel golf for that day to take care of her, but I can't give up something this important to me for 12 months continuously. She called me a selfish bonehead and slept on the couch last night. So am I the bonehead? Wow, OP's wife is the bonehead. First off, it's clear that you and Jane have a communication problem the size of Mount Everest. Jane just goes ahead and changes the custody schedule without consulting you? I get it. Jane's got a certification course, and things can get a bit hectic when you've got kids in the mix. But seriously, she wants you to give up your Saturday golf tradition to babysit Emily because she doesn't want to shell out for a babysitter? That's a big ask, especially when you've had this tradition way before Jane and Emily were in the picture. Calling golf stupid and saying you should prioritize your stepdaughter over your siblings? That's just not fair. She made it clear she didn't want you as a father figure for her daughter. Like you said, you're not against helping out with Emily when there's a genuine need. You're willing to step up during emergencies or occasional situations, and that's reasonable. But expecting you to give up your personal time for a whole year? That's a bit much. So no, you're not the bonehead here. Jane needs to learn the art of compromise and communicate better. And maybe, just maybe, she can find a babysitter who can fill in on Saturdays without breaking the bank. It's called balance, Jane. Look it up. Am I the bonehead for stealing my sister's wedding guests by hosting a party after her ceremony? My sister, 31 female, got married last weekend. As is customary with most weddings, they also hosted a post-reception after party that close friends and younger family members were invited to. My husband and I, 32 male, 27 male, were invited, but we turned it down. Our sons were sleeping back in our hotel suite with a babysitter and we weren't really prepared for more loud music and drunken antics. As we were heading out of the venue and chatting with some cousins plus mutual friends between me and the newlyweds, we all agreed on how we kind of just wanted to chill out and maybe have 1 or 2 more drinks before the night was over. I offered to let them come back to our hotel room as long as everyone agreed to stay relatively quiet. My husband, myself, and 6 others came back to our room. We all shared a bottle of wine, talked until about 1 a.m., then they left and we went to sleep. I woke up today, a week later, and had received a text from my sister saying she didn't appreciate that I hosted an after-party of my own. 4 out of the 6 people that joined us in our hotel room were ones who had been invited out with my sister and her husband, so she accused me of stealing her guests. Apparently only 3 people went out with them. She's also upset that I clued the non-invitees into the fact that there was an after-party at all. I explained the vibes were totally different and the guests I stole likely wouldn't have joined her anyway. Still, she's upset with me and claimed I was pulling my typical golden child antics by stealing her thunder. My mom says she sees both sides, so I'd just like some outside perspective. Am I the bonehead? OP? I think you're the bonehead. What you did was inconsiderate. The wedding was your sister's event, and it's crucial to respect her plans and wishes. It's important to respect her guest list and not invite people she intended to celebrate with after the wedding. Weddings often involve careful planning, and altering the guest list can ruin things for the couple. You made decisions that adversely affected their event. And you're being a bit disingenuous. If you and your husband wanted a quiet night in your room because your kids were asleep, having 6 additional people to drink defeats that purpose. I mean, how quiet can 8 drunk people really be? And you didn't just invite your sister's guests to your room. You spilled the beans that your sister invited some people to the after party and excluded others. You were completely indiscreet and revealed information that the couple wanted to keep private. You need to have an open and honest conversation with your sister and apologize for any unintentional offense caused. You were wrong, and you need to admit that. Am I the bonehead for refusing to pay for her bridesmaid's gown, then take revenge on her out of spite when she backed out as my bridesmaid? Sorry in advance, it's a long post. For context, this happened back in early 2019 before COVID. I was 25 female and my husband was 26 male. We came from wealthy families, and were both making a decent amount of money from our jobs. When he proposed back in January 2017, we both decided to pay for our own dream wedding. In our culture, it's usually the parents who pays, but it's not mandatory, so we decided to have a nearly 3 years long engagement so that we can save enough money for both our dream grand wedding and our honeymoon. We both were excited to go to Taiwan for an ultimate night market food trip. I just wanted to eat everything after being on a diet to fit into my wedding princess ball gown. One of the first things I did was ask my best girls to be my bridesmaids. I asked each of them personally, even had gifts. A cute wallet, chocolates, hairbrush, a tote bag and a "Will you be my bridesmaid?" card. I made it clear to each of them before they accepted that they will be paying for their own bridesmaid gown but not the full price. I will be paying for 40% and they will only have to pay for the remaining 60%. I told them if they are uncomfortable with this, I will not be angry or offended, and I understand why they can't accept the role. The gown will be custom made and they will definitely get to keep it. All of them accepted. I had 9 bridesmaids in total. Yes, I know it was a lot. I realize that now, but back then, I just couldn't narrow it down. So everything was going great. I had them send all their measurements so that I could start getting the gowns made. Then one day I sent a message in our group chat to remind them that since the wedding date was drawing near, I'd have to receive the payment for the gowns soon. Almost all of them paid on that same day except this one girl. Let's call her Bianca. She replied with a, "Oh, I didn't know we had to pay." So I reminded her that when I first asked her, I did tell her then, and she said I never mentioned it to her. All the other 8 girls said I did, but only she said I didn't. But I know I did. I even remembered when and where I asked her. I decided to private message her, trying to solve this since the gown was already made. She outright told me that she won't be paying for it because she has been a bridesmaid many times and never had she ever paid for a gown. I told her that this wedding isn't paid by our parents but out of our own pockets, unlike her other friends whose weddings were all paid for by their parents. She proceeded to tell me that her dad told her to back out cause he didn't approve of her to pay for the gown. She also said she didn't have enough money, and that she will back out because I never mentioned to her that she needs to pay. Mind you, she was in her 20s and working a stable job and still living with her parents, so she doesn't have any bills to pay except her Netflix account. She also bought herself a Louis Vuitton bag a few weeks after this scenario. No money my butt, Bianca. I was pissed and hurt because we have been friends since we were in diapers. Our families are close. Our moms were pregnant at the same time. My family had always been generous to hers. We got them expensive gifts and wines, and paid the tab when we all went out together. Bought them lots of souvenirs when we travel. It was at this moment, I realized that her family never really paid for anything. During potluck gatherings, they'd come empty-handed but pack some food home and drank all the alcohol. They never offered to pay for anything. During occasions like Chinese New Year or Christmas, they'll be the only family that doesn't give any red packets to the kids or presents for anyone. They were freeloaders, but they had money. They were not poor. They even have a sports car and a huge home. After I came to this realization, I knew Bianca never planned to help pay. She was hoping for more freebies and that I'd let it slide and pay for her. So after she left the group chat, I had a talk with my fiancé about it, then he told me to return all the money back to my bridesmaids and he will cover the full cost of the gown. He wants Bianca to know that we decided to pay for the gowns after she backed out. So I told my girls about it, but what they told me literally made me cry. They all refused their money back, and my maid of honor told me, "The measure of true friendship is not in the amount of money paid but in the moments when we are there for each other." I ugly cried. But I was still feeling angry and petty, and wanted some kind of revenge on Bianca and also to reward my bridesmaids for being amazing girlfriends. So I decided to bring my girls to an all-expense-paid trip to a beach resort. And this was no ordinary resort. It was Club Med, free flow of food, alcohol and entertainment. And I made sure that Bianca knew about it through Instagram. We had the most amazing time and definitely strengthened our friendship there. It was a core memory weekend. Bianca was not happy. She came to me after the trip and asked me why I never mentioned this trip to her when I first asked her to be her bridesmaids. I told her I did some gardening and plucked out some weeds, and I was so happy with the results that I decided to celebrate. She got mad at me, called me rude and a witch. She did still attend my wedding, though, and even had the audacity to tell guests she backed out because I wanted to pay for everyone's gown except hers, painting herself as the victim. My mildly drunk dad overheard and shut her down immediately, embarrassing her in front of many people. She has not spoken to me since then. I barely see her anymore. Last I heard, she got married, had a baby, got divorced cause her husband had a gambling problem, and she moved back in with her parents and is a single mom now. Was I the bonehead for wanting to pay for everything after she backed out? I know I acted out of spite. I started feeling a little guilty and felt like I may have overreacted, but part of me is still happy that I did it. Edit. A lot of people are judging me because I asked my bridesmaids to pay for the gown. Where I'm from, bridesmaids paying for gowns are a norm. So I hope you all can look at that with an open mind. Also, to clarify, my husband is the one who paid for the trip, not me. And I did what I did not because she doesn't want to pay or because she backed out last minute, but because she lied to me by saying that I never told her about paying beforehand, and mainly because I've realized that she has been using me for years for money. I have been paying for her almost every time we went out together, and not once has she paid anything for me. And the one time I asked for it, she said no. It hurt because she was one of my closest friends, and we have known each other since our diaper days. If that means I'm self-centered and entitled, then okay. I accept that. Also, the trip was not solely to spite her. When my husband suggested it, I was excited to tell my girls. The revenge on her was just a bonus. Let me just say, Bianca's behavior in this story is beyond infuriating. I mean, seriously, what kind of friend acts like that? First off, you were clear from the start about the bridesmaid gown costs. You didn't spring it on them out of nowhere. You even offered to cover 40% of the expense, which is incredibly generous. But Bianca conveniently forgot about it? Yeah, right. It's pretty obvious she was trying to weasel her way into a free gown, despite having the means to pay for it. And then, she has the audacity to claim that her dad told her not to pay? Come on, she's an adult with a stable job, not some kid living on her parents' allowance. She even had the nerve to splurge on a Louis Vuitton bag shortly after. It's clear that she had the money but just didn't want to part with it. But it doesn't stop there. Her family's freeloaders? Seriously? They never contributed anything during potluck gatherings, and they didn't even give red packets during Chinese New Year or Christmas? That's just plain rude and inconsiderate. It's like they were taking advantage of your family's generosity all along. As if that wasn't enough, Bianca gets mad at you for not inviting her on the trip you planned for your bridesmaids when she was the one who bailed on the bridesmaid duties in the first place. Talk about entitlement. But hey, at least your other bridesmaids showed what true friendship is all about. They refused to take back the money you offered, and your maid of honor dropped a gem of wisdom about the value of friendship. So, no, you were not the bonehead here. If anything, you were more than generous and patient with Bianca's nonsense. It's a shame that she chose to act this way and tarnish a long-standing friendship. And if she's ended up in a bit of a mess in her own life now, well, maybe that's a lesson she needed to learn. Just remember, it's always better to have real friends who appreciate you for you, not what you can do for them. What do you think? Please tell me in the comments below. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because you won't want to miss a single Reddit story. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you soon.